everybody. I'm Gary Groob. Welcome to NLL Lacrosse Talk on Spanglish World Network, seen on Zingo TV channel 249 and 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks. Also available on all smart TVs 2016 and above. Now on Lacrosse Talk, allow me to introduce my guests this week. I got Bullet Bob Tearing, and I have Mike Powell. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back, Bob. I'm a little bit hoarse today, but, I will get through this. It's just working in the cold thing, it's killing me. Mike, we start all shows by asking our guests, the first question is, how did you get involved in lacrosse? What got you to pick up a stick?
Yeah, mine's an easy one. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York called Carthage, and we didn't have lacrosse in our area. And my brothers, I had two older brothers, went to elementary school, and they discovered it in gym class. And they brought home some of those plastic, I think they were called Mick Whippet sticks. Impossible to play catch with, but they learned a little bit about how to the history of the game. And I remember they came home and they were all excited and told us about it being a Native American sport and something that means a lot to people. And we kind of just started playing catch with those sticks. And I remember still to this day, just the feeling of, when we would actually catch one, we would celebrate like we had, just won the Super Bowl. So right. Just making a catch with those sticks was quite a feat. And that was kind of our first interaction with the sport. And it was a lot of fun just because, we like I said, we didn't have the sport around us, so we had no idea what we were doing at all. The coaches didn't know, so we kind of developed a little style based around not having any guardrails, so that's how we discovered it.
Now you had your older brothers also. They kind of led the way for you. Let's talk about, family rivalry, just you following in their footsteps. Just around the backyard to start with, and then when you finally move into high school.
Sure, I think like any younger brother, I was the goalie. So that's where I started, was in the goal, and my two older brothers would play one-on-one against each other, and they were closer in age, so they'd get pretty heated and. There was a lot of fighting between them, but I was always so small that they didn't mess with me too much. But I was also so small that I couldn't reach the top of the goal. We were playing on a 6-foot goal, and
right.
Couldn't reach the top. And they would just come in and shoot high on me all day long and celebrate my face. And I remember that used to frustrate me. But the backyard battles for us, that's still my fondest memories of lacrosse, and those moments. That's what it's all about.
Now we touched upon the high school. You went to Carthage Senior High School. Now you had some incredible numbers there. Was it 194 points in 2000? Most points in a game, 15 points in 2000. Most assists in a season, 120 in 1999, 115 in 2000. Let's talk about the program there. And just the coaches and everything that got you rolling there.
Yes, Kirk Venaquatro was he spearheaded the entire program, and he had a son that was my age. So his son's name is Tony, and Tony and I would do a lot together. And when I heard about this whole lacrosse program starting, obviously was very interested because I loved the idea of playing something that not many people were into. It kind of felt like I was cutting edge. And he definitely took a lot from a neighboring program, West Genesee High School, Coach Mike Masser. there, who ran a very particular style, I'll say, of lacrosse, and that kind of trickled down to our coach, Benaquatro, and we bought into it, and all of us had this fascination with the sport and the creative side of it.
Mhm.
And that was really intriguing to us. And like I said in the opening there, he didn't play lacrosse. None of the parents had ever played or seen games. So again, we just didn't know what we were doing at all. And it was so freeing and fun to just go out there, and we're throwing behind the back passes. We didn't even know that was like a fancy thing to do. That was just kind of part of it, So we fell in love with the game, and our coach was everything to us because he built a lot of confidence in us as people and as players, and allowed us to dream big. And you talk about those numbers that you bring up, and a lot of that is because of him. He wasn't afraid to give us the ball a lot, and make us go after it. So
we move on from there because you obviously turned heads, and Syracuse comes calling, and you sign on to do 4 amazing years of Syracuse, where you became, the way I see it and the way I watched it, was a human highlight reel. It was just ridiculous watching you turn everybody inside out. Your poor knees. That's all I can say. There were some incredible games.
Yeah, well,
Let's talk about getting in there. My first question actually with that is, was it what you imagined when you first stepped into Syracuse?
It was, and I had it easy. I had my 2 brothers were at Syracuse, so I had some luxuries that a lot of players didn't have, and I was aware of that. And the day that I arrived on campus, in my eyes, I had already been in the program for 6 years. So stepping onto into the dome, I had been to practices, and I'd been in the locker room. I was a ball boy at some of the games, and so I didn't have like a nervous feeling at all. It was the opposite. I felt very comfortable and confident right from the jump. And I think when you're faced with that situation where you kind of have a road paved for you, you're kind of faced with a decision to either shut down or really rise up and try and do something special.
Right.
And my brothers before me kind of did everything that I was hoping to do, so I had to try and figure out a different way to do it, just for my own sanity and just to stamp my own style on the game. And that came in the way of just running around like an animal on the field, and trying not to,
absolutely,
just trying different things and having fun with the sport. And
see, there's a key right there. You're talking about having fun with the sport. While it was fun, you excelled in it, and we'll get to that when we talk about your MLL career and why you walked away. But having the number 22, no extra pressure, right?
that was interesting for sure. And growing up in the backyard, just pretending to be Gary Gate, to be able to go to a college and wear his number, and with that legacy within that program, amazing honor. And like I said, when you're in a situation like that, you have 2 options. It's either you step up and wear it and do your thing, or you play nervous and go the opposite direction. So,
Mike, Coach Simmons gave you and your brothers a blank check, basically, right?
that guy is just one of the most legendary people I've ever met in my entire life, and he he is Syracuse lacrosse. And what an honor just to be around him as a person. And he was the way he coached was just similar to what we talked about with my high school career, building confidence in players and people. He's about as good as it gets with that. You know, he made us feel like going out for warm-ups, we were already up 5-0. You know, so he had this ability to make you feel unstoppable. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of players with their college careers and high school careers, and a lot of them were scared to make a mistake. You know, and it shows in the way that they played. And it was the opposite for us. You know, it was the way Coach Simmons turned that program. It made us feel like we could do absolutely anything out there. And that we tried it.
Yes, you did. You tried everything. That's true. But you also had to outdo your brothers. That internal, I've talked to your brothers, and there was always that competition between, all right, who could be the best? And then you got stuck with being the best.
No, that's not true. I like I said, I was very fortunate to have the path paved for me. I had, like I said, when I got to Syracuse, I already had a jump on some of the other freshmen just because of what my brothers were able to do before I got there.
No question.
So lucky.
Right, but I can read the accomplishments, and the name goes so excuse me, only gets you so far. Then your natural ability and your creativity. That's what gets you to, you know, 2-time Wharton Award winner, 2-time national champion, 4-time STX All-American, 4-time Jack Turnbull Award winner, 2002, 2004 W.H. Bryan Award, 2004 Lieutenant Raymond Enners Award, 3-time NCAA All-Tournament Team Selection, 2002, 2006 World Games. Your name only gets you so far. Your ability, don't sell yourself short, was incredible. I loved watching Syracuse games, and you were a big reason why.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Gary, and I think that it all comes back to the having fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me. I just, playing the game was such a fun thing to do. People talk about not looking forward to practice. That wasn't me. I loved it. I loved practice because we got a chance to play an amazing sport together. And I had this thing in my head since I was very small. I was able to kind of simulate situations in my head. Even when I was alone, I was able to, you know, a lot of players would go out and just set a ball bag down and shoot. I was creating these scenarios in my head constantly, thinking and visualizing different things. So I was obsessed with thinking about how to score and how to get people the ball so they could score. I would think about it on bus rides home from middle school. You know, I'd be looking out the window thinking about, if I switch to my left hand behind the goal and then cut back to the right, you know, it's going to open up some lanes. And, you know, I think anybody that truly loves something as much as I do lacrosse, you can't really shut it off, you know, so it's something that I still think about.
Yeah, Mike, it's the old visualization that we teach as a coach, and the old psycho-cybernetics, you know, visualize what you're going to do. And you certainly did it. I got a question before we go on to more of your accolades. How did you develop your skill level to what it is? I mean, I've always taught, you know, wall ball, obviously competition, but you had extraordinary skills. How did you develop those skills that you could tell somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think success has a secret recipe. I think it's just repetition. And The quick story, I'm sure you've heard it before, Bob, but on all of our school pants, my mom took a piece of yarn and sewed a holster on our belt loops.
I heard that.
So we could carry our sticks to school. And we'd pull them out and we'd play wall ball when we were walking into school. And, as soon as we got out of school, we'd pull them out of our holsters and play wall ball on the way to the bus. So it was just that level of obsession for me. Wall ball was certainly our biggest thing. We did play that a lot. We lived right next door to an elementary school, which had a great brick wall, nice surface that we could just walk to. But it was all the backyard, and we played all different styles in the backyard. From playing with short sticks, we had long poles back there. We had my dad's fishing nets that we would turn into goalie sticks. We just constantly were doing it. And for me, being the size that I was I'm a small man, so I was a tiny kid. I was always obsessed with how to beat the bigger guys. And I think that's part of the thought process when you are a younger brother is, how do I beat these guys? They're stronger than me. They're tougher than me. They're 6 years older than me. So for me, it was to just try a little harder than them and run faster and be quicker. And there's a funny story from our backyard. If you missed the goal in our backyard, it would go over to our neighbor's property over a fence. And they had a German Shepherd named Baron, and similar to the Sandlot gang, and it would go over the fence. And again, it's similar to becoming the goalie as the younger brother. I was always the fetcher that had to go get this ball without getting bit by the dog. And, my brothers would always, I think about it now and laugh about it because I wasn't smart enough to figure it out, but they would pump me up. They'd say, "Mike, you're the fastest guy out here. You're the only guy that can get it," and I bought into that as a young kid, and thought I was really fast and quick, and I would go grab the ball and dodge the dog, and we'd get back to playing. But I think you realize what you have physically, and then you work on where you're weak. That's what I always tell people that I speak with about lacrosse, and I think that doesn't stop with lacrosse. I think that's a life skill. You find out where your weaknesses are, and you work on them, and you improve them, and that will amplify the qualities that are that come naturally to you.
Well said. Well said.
Very well said. Okay, so we go through our Syracuse thing. Now, everybody thought that you would go professional, and you would go to the MLL like your brothers, and you make a left. You get into music. Let's talk about that and the repercussions that came down because you didn't go where everybody thought you should be going. You became your own person right there.
Yeah, that was an interesting time, Gary. Very, very interesting time. And, I've told this story a couple times. There wasn't an outdoor pro league when I was growing up. So for me, my childhood dream as a lacrosse player was to win a national championship in college. That was the pinnacle for us. So when I did that my senior year with a great team, I felt very fulfilled with where I was leaving the game. It's what I wanted to do. And I had a blast with that team. And I felt like it was a great time to step away and now pursue something else that I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And work on that. And I didn't realize in my 21-year-old brain that there were people that were kind of looking forward to me continuing to play and thought that I could help grow the game and spread the game. And that didn't dawn on me until I made the decision not to play when these repercussions came. And,
Mm-hmm.
it was so interesting. And Gary, you'll understand this as a musician yourself. I had always been fascinated with music, but I had never, you got into it very young. I did not. I could strum a couple chords in college to,
Mm-hmm.
impress a few girls, but that was about it. And after I made the decision to pursue it, it was such a strange thing to go from on one hand, you're coming from this place where people think you're good at something,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden people think you stink at something. It was so awesome for me. That moment was so important for me, to feel and to learn from and to understand. And it was like I was almost it was like a brand new ride that I was about to take. And the difference being that I was in somewhat of a spotlight when I decided to, learn music, like how to actually play music. So unfortunately, I didn't have those, days in the garage where nobody sees you or hears you. I was writing and singing my first couple songs, and there was already people listening to them,
Right. Sure.
which was which I didn't really care for. I kind of wanted my wood shopping days to try and figure the thing out before I went for it. But yeah, that was a really important time in my life, to be truthful with you, to go from something where you feel comfortable and rock the boat a little bit and try something new, because I've always had this feeling of I've always been aware of the brevity of life and how short our time is here, and
Mm-hmm.
how important it is to spend it doing things you enjoy doing. And I really enjoy playing music. It's some guys golf, some guys fish, some guys hunt. I play music. That's my release. That's my thing.
See, the other thing is we talked about you got into college and everybody knew your name already from your brothers. When you went into music, this was fresh. Nobody knew what you could do or how you could do it. You were still trying to figure it out yourself, and you had to rely on yourself and using, again, your creativity just in a different aspect. But still, the cerebral part of it, same thing as the game, and figuring out where what is now figuring out the story and figuring out how to put it with your chords.
Right, right. That's right. It's such a difference for me. Some people will ask if there's anything related to playing music and playing sports, and I think a lot of there is some crossover in the amount of time and effort you need to put into those things.
Definitely.
But for me, the biggest trip of the whole journey is there's absolutely no rules in music.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also not really much of a way to measure your success. Growing up playing sports, you either won or you lost. The clock ends the game. You leave the stadium feeling good or feeling bad. I still leave shows having no idea if I made an impact or not. And, that's the fun part for me is there are no barriers. Music, you could go up there and play the flute for 2 hours straight, or the accordion. It doesn't matter. What matters is your heart and your passion and what you put into it. That comes across and that people can relate to. But the music thing for me is great because with sports, it's very black and white for the most part. Like I said, you either win or you lose. Music and songwriting in particular have allowed me to touch on that gray area, the in between, where you can touch on a wide range of emotions. And I still remember as a kid, one of the things we would do is we would cut wood with my father. We would heat our home with firewood. Mm-hmm. So we'd spend a lot of time with him cutting wood, and we'd always be listening to old country music. He loved Hank Williams and John Prine and a lot of the old great songwriters. Sure. And I remember a song by John Prine came on, and I watched my father, who was probably in his mid-40s at the time, a very blue-collar, hard-working guy, took his work gloves off and wiped tears away from his eyes. And even as a young kid, I noticed there's something special about music that could make my father do that. Mm-hmm. That would make my father, who's a pretty rough guy, even to this day, never really talks about us being proud of us for playing or, any of that stuff. It's just you'd roll up your sleeves and you get the job done. To see him shed a tear was quite a moment for me. And I think that was always in the back of my head. And still is, that people want to relate and people are emotional, and whether they show it or not, that's up to them. But I think, that is the reason I continue to chase the music thing.
Well, music's kind of the universal language anyway. Whatever language is spoken, it doesn't matter. What is your genre, or do you just go across the spectrum in your music?
Could you say that again, Coach?
Yeah. What is your genre? Do you have a specific, or do you go across the spectrum with music?
Yeah. So I mean, like what we were talking about there, I had no idea what I sounded like, So when I first got into it, people would ask me that, what kind of music do you play? And I'd say, I'm not real sure yet, to be honest with you. But I grew up with old country music, so that was where my heart was. And when I was in college, I discovered Bob Dylan, and I got heavily into folk music from there, and that brought me into blues music, and eventually landed on Grateful Dead stuff. And my style of music is different than what I listen to now, which is interesting. But I will say that my style, when I'm playing solo, is definitely in the folky country world. They call it roots music, but definitely there. And then when I'm with my band, it's more of in a improvising jam band type of situation. That's kind of blues based.
So if you go back, it's old school in a way, but
totally.
Totally. I mean, I've heard little snips of your music, and it's been great. And evidently, you put on a great concert in Placid this year.
Oh, thanks.
Everybody came out and said, "Wow!" a lot of the guys had never heard you.
Okay, gotcha.
We came out of the Hall of Fame thing and said it was fabulous.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. So that you do have a feedback.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I told you myself, you get me through an awful lot of rush hours getting home. The music is fantastic. The storytelling, that's the big thing, the storytelling. Being able to tell that story in the lanes like we talked about before, of a Dan Hill, of a Krista Bird, being able to get the story across. It's one thing to have a little song, but when you're able to tell the story, not just in between songs, but the song itself, it really is something special.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Gary, and I think I mentioned before we got on here live, but I started talking in between my songs when I'd be playing in bars because nobody was really paying attention to the songs. And I also only had 5 or 6 songs, and I had to fill a 3-hour window. So I'd be telling some stories, and now people come out and look forward to hearing me tell
You became a philosopher. You became a philosopher also.
Yeah.
That's funny. That is. What kind of feedback do you have from your brothers and your family on your transition into music? Any good, bad? What is that?
Yeah, they're very supportive of it. They're supportive of it. My brother Casey he likes music a lot, so he comes out to a lot of the shows and he enjoys it. My brother Ryan's not into music so much, but he'll come out and support every now and again. And my parents will sit there, and sometimes I'll be singing my songs and look up. My dad will have that same tear in his eye.
Wow.
So that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
How many concerts are you doing now? How many are you doing?
Yeah, so I do little tours. I don't travel too much anymore now that I have a family, but I stay pretty local here in the Northeast, and I play maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
Well, you can definitely tell the John Prine and the Bob Dylan influence in your music.
Cool.
That's the first thing that came across listening to it was like, wow, there's a definite connection there.
Cool.
Without the raspy voice.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's talk a little bit about the state of lacrosse, State of the Union now, with the PLL and things like that. Do you think that if that was around when you were around, that might have been something to, maybe grab you to keep you there?
I don't think so. I'm happy to see the sport growing, obviously, and people getting the opportunity to continue playing the game. But for me, if this was the PLL was there when I was done with college, it had nothing to do with the league. It
Right.
just had to do with my own personal decision. But
All right. Because like I say, for you, you came back a couple of times, and the biggest thing that came across was that the fun had gone away from you. This just wasn't like in Syracuse. You had a lot of fun and you're creative and whatever. The fun had gone away.
it had, and for me, lacrosse is about relationships. And college lacrosse, you spend 4 years with guys in the locker room and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I relied on that so much. And, that was a big part of me being able to, be a decent player was I understood who I was playing with. I knew who could catch the ball if I threw it to a certain spot. I knew where somebody likes to have the ball on the field. So that all played into the type of player that I was who I was surrounded by. And with the pro game, it was very difficult for me to be successful because I had never played with these guys before. When I was playing in the MLL, I think we practiced an hour before the game.
Right.
And that was it. So, truthfully, the only reason I came back and played was I remember I was sitting out in Colorado, about holding my guitar in my hand and about ready to walk into an open mic. And I got a phone call, and it was Gary Gate, and he said, hey, Marichek and I want you to come play with the Bayhawks, and let's go win a championship. And I couldn't deny that one. That one was pretty good.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, let's do that.
That's a great story. Yeah,
absolutely. Now with Olympics around the corner and lacrosse finally getting back there, well, it's on the Sixes program here.
I've never played it.
Right.
But I have spoke with a lot of people about it, the format. And I think it certainly seems fun and fast paced. I think it's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you, Gary. I don't know enough to speak on it. But from the Olympic side of things, it's really nice to see the sport get that exposure.
Well, Bob, you remember when we had
there's a lot of polarization, Mike, being still involved with the game as I am. You either like it or you don't like it. If you're old school, you don't like it. And some of the guys that I've talked to that play, that play on the USA team that are also playing, the first half is exciting because it's back and forth, back and forth. The poor goalies don't have a chance. And then by the end of the game, you got 20-some points on both sides. The scoring gets a little boring because there's no competition to slow you down. It's,
sure.
Now they're looking at changing some of the rules for that, but the format was dictated by the Olympic Committee. They gave them parameters that they wanted, and you've talked to the guys yourself. This is what we want: fast-paced, quick game. Limited substitution, fast, a lot of scoring, and so they got what they asked for. But there's a lot of polarization with the Sixes because when it was an Olympic sport back in the 20s, the very couple times, it was our traditional game.
Right.
So, yeah. So you haven't formed an opinion yet. I'll leave you at that. And
one of the things that Mark Riccio was saying was about grassroots. You have the non-athletic who just wants to be out with his buddies, kind of like the right fielder in baseball, right? And he kind of really hopes the ball doesn't get hit to him, and just wants to be out. And same thing with the midfielder, just kind of out and kind of maybe touch the ball once or twice in the game. With Sixes, they're running around everywhere, learning the game without even knowing they're learning the game. So as a grassroots tool, and you only need 12 people, it's probably a better thing to do it. Plus, with all the extra countries who don't have indoor box or things like that, and probably don't have the use of a huge field, to have a smaller thing, just to try and get other places to look at it.
Sure.
Well, it helps small countries that don't have a lot of people. I see the benefit of that. There's no question.
Right.
And hopefully it grows into the traditional game. But
Definitely. Once that hits, another 280 countries taking a look at it, this finally, do you think, gets us off the ground floor and actually gets, I'll include you in it, Mike, kind of gets you guys paid like you should be?
That's a good question, Gary. Yeah.
I just have one of the weird parts for me was the other sports that are included in this new class. I didn't like seeing that. I'm going to be honest with you. What was it? Flag football, and what's the other one?
There was a couple. There was just head scratchers of a different form of soccer and another form of something else. And it's like, don't we already have these things out there?
Right.
Like, this should be on its own merit.
Right. That's why.
Well, the Olympic Committee is not made up of people that know lacrosse. There's a certain faction on there, but it's represented with all the world. So a lot of these people have never seen some of these sports. And, I've sat in many meetings over the years about sports and rules and listening. And it comes down to a lot of individual preference and who's voting at the time. I have a question for you, Mike, and it goes back. And if you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. Remember when we were all in Australia for the World Games?
Oh, yeah.
You know where I'm going. And we're there with 3 or 4 minutes left. There's a stick check. And you had the illegal stick.
Yep.
And you had to come out of the game. I have never asked you What did Jack Emmer say to you when you came out of the game on the sideline? You sat with us at dinner that night. You moved over to our table because you were, I don't know why. What did Jack say to you when you came off the field?
That was a long time ago, Bob. I don't know. But I will say that was about as scary a moment as I've ever been involved with it in the sport. A lot of pressure. I was 18 years old. And I thought I remembered somebody saying that they don't do stick checks in international.
Oh my.
So I ended up I cut a couple inches off my stick. I think it was probably 2 inches short. And I just kind of went about my way. And I remember talking to the equipment manager, Jimmy, about is this okay? Can I do this? And I think we ended up green lighting it. And then, when I got the stick penalty, and I sat in that box and watched Canada score, I think they scored 4 or 5 goals. And
it was like 4. Yeah, it's like 4 or 5.
In a minute. I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be the end of me.
Well, Jack had an ace in his pocket, if you remember.
Yes, he
called the stick check after the penalty was over, and you guys came back and won the game. But what a sequence of events that was, right, with all just a couple minutes left in the game. It was incredible. But you don't remember what Jack said to you, huh? Did he say anything?
I don't know if he said anything. He was probably ready to strangle me.
Oh, that's funny.
I do remember it was Tavares was the Canadian player that got the stick check on him, and I remember seeing him later that night, and we had a chat about it, but that was a scary time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you, but it was just a moment. It's a moment in lacrosse history that I had the fortune to be there to watch.
I was just happy to be in Australia.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Great country, great people.
Yep.
It really was.
Is there any hope at trying to get you back coaching somewhere, or clinicking, or being a clinician, or something like that, to try and get your skills and, again, your storytelling ability and being able to teach out there to the youth?
Yeah, I've thought about that with both of my brothers still being involved with coaching and doing camps and clinics, and I do like speaking to young players, but I also don't feel qualified to be instructing the game because I've been out of it for a long time, and the game has changed quite a bit. So there's certain things where I don't feel as qualified as I'd like to be giving advice to young players. But I do like connecting with them on a personal level and talking about life, and trying to motivate them to pursue their passions. But the X's and O's for me are a little daunting, and that the reason that I never got into coaching was, I never really played. I wasn't a smart player. I played on instinct, and when I watch some of my old games now, it's amazing how much I turned the ball over. It drives me nuts when I watch it. I'm like, as an older guy, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? And, and the truth of it was I wasn't thinking about it. I was just, again, just having fun, running around and running as fast as I possibly could.
Bob, I'll leave you with the last question.
Well, I had talked to your brothers and to Gary Gate about possibly Virginia plays at the Dome this year. Okay. And I had tried to talk them into having a reunion with Coach Simmons, Orrin Lyons, and Jim Brown. Unfortunately, we lost Jim.
Yep.
And your brothers said they would help me with that. And I had to mention it to Lars Tiffany also, that maybe bringing the Haudenosaunee team into the dome to honor them while that game is going on. So how does that sound to you all at this point? Your brothers offered to help if we could put it together.
I'd be more than happy to help.
Yeah, because I mean, those two gentlemen are, they're with us today, and they're so special. Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
I'll bring it up again.
Yeah,
Casey and Ryan both said they'd help out do something like that.
right.
So, great.
And yeah, I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. Absolutely.
You want to play a song before you leave?
I was actually going to ask, is there any more albums in the works? Because you got 6 albums now.
I'm not sure how many I got, but the most fun I'm having right now is I'm playing with a band called the Echo Sound. So it's Mike Powell and the Echo Sound. It's kind of party music. So we just put out an album called Plastic Spoon Honeymoon.
Nice.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'll look for it.
Let's hope you make it over the border to Canada. I'd love to get a chance to see you live.
That'd be awesome. Love
That would be really, really cool. Number of great venues here in Toronto for sure.
Absolutely. We had are you familiar with the Sadies?
Yes.
The Sadies came to Syracuse maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we opened for them, and just an unbelievable band. So we've gotten to know them, and we've played a couple shows with them, and the Trues. We've opened for the Trues a couple times.
They're awesome. Yeah,
they're great. So we've I have the thought that I'm hoping that does happen, that we do make it up there and have some fun. That'd be awesome.
Hey, how's this for a thought? A halftime show at Syracuse.
There you go.
There you go. Thinking about promoting.
It might as well be a big celebration because those two gentlemen they're the heart of the game.
Yeah,
I mean, they have been the stalwarts that came from the Haudenosaunee, and Oren has been involved. Played at Syracuse with goalie, played with Jim Brown, and played with Roy. So they're legends in their own time. So I'm hoping we can put something like that together just to honor them.
That'd be great. I was very upset and still think about him all the time. Elf Jacques.
What a shame.
You talk about soul of the game. For me, that was him. And
tell the audience who he was, because I knew him very well.
Yeah, he's the greatest stick maker of our time, and he was an amazing person. Haudenosaunee, and I'd been to his shop several times, and I'm a woodworker myself, so I would pick his brain, and just sweetheart of a human being, well-wisher, and he would give his demonstrations to kids and people all over the world. And when we talk about the sixes and the Olympics, it's such a shame that he's not going to be able to be a face of that movement, because if he was there, and that is, in my eyes, that's the proper way to present the game to the world, is with a guy like him who is a stick maker. There's not too many other sports out there that you're not going to see a soccer ball maker, be the face of a sport. And I think that just him being the soul and the essence of the game says everything about what the sport means to people and what it should mean. It
does. And now we have to lobby to get the Haudenosaunee in the Olympics.
I know, it's wild.
That's
every single time. Yeah,
it's got to happen. I mean, it's got to happen, but it's got an uphill climb at this point.
That's right.
So we're trying to get it done if we can.
Just to end on a really good note, I want to talk about your jersey being retired, and there in the dome for all to see for eternity. Talk about the honor and that day, just watching it go up.
It was interesting because I really don't like that stuff at all. That stuff drives me crazy. because lacrosse is a team sport. It always has been in my eyes, and if I didn't have those guys on my team, then that jersey certainly wouldn't be up there.
Right.
So I was dreading the day for a long, long time, and finally, I called my mother and I said, "Mom, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go give a talk about the old days." And she said, "Mike, use it as a platform to thank other people," and that really put it into focus on what that was all about. So I used that time to thank everyone and try and reflect the light off of myself and onto others, because without others, that like I said, that jersey wouldn't be up there.
Right. Well, gentlemen, that's where we have to leave it. I really appreciate both of you guys taking your time and coming on the show. Bob, as always, it's a pleasure to see you again, and look forward to doing many more shows with you. And Mike, keep putting out those tunes, man. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it very much. This was a good time. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Looks like it's getting dark there, Bob.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark.
Lamps on.
Okay. Hey, by the way, where can we get your albums? Where are they listed anywhere? Amazon or anything?
Yeah, they're on Amazon. They're on Spotify and all the streaming platforms. Yep.
Absolutely.
The audience now.
Appreciate it.
Been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for joining us.
Absolutely. This show can also be heard on Spanglish World Radio Network. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Until next week, thanks again, everybody. Keep a stick in your hands.